Know more on these topics, do take a look at these in the channel. I am Dr. Archana Murthy. Today's masterclass is about Mercury. Miss Lalitha Donatella will be teaching us about Mercury's role in wealth and intelligence. Let me tell you more about Miss Lalitha. Miss Lalitha holds a BA in Vedic Arts and Sciences from the Academy of Vedic Art and Science. She is also a certified yoga teacher, a Reiki master, and an Ayurveda consultant. She also holds an advanced certification in DNA astrology from Astrology. Miss Lalitha is a professional Vedic astrologer since 12 years. After living in India for 5 years, she wrote a book which was an Amazon bestseller. This book is on Vedic astrology and spiritual transformation. The book is called Bliss Lab: How the Ancient Yogis Acquired Supernormal Powers and How You Can Too. Miss Lalitha is the founder of Shreem Lab, where she is a life coach and Vedic astrologer. She helps people achieve more success and spiritual growth based on their horoscopes. You can contact her at info@shreemlab.com. A very warm welcome to you, Miss Lalitha.
Thank you so much. Beautiful presentation, Dr. Archana. Very nice. I'm very happy to be here. Of course, every year I'm very happy. This year particularly because I was afraid I would have to cancel. Because a few of my books were published this summer, just in the last 2 months. And also my son is getting married. So I was really concerned about the time, etc. But it worked out. So by the grace of God, by the grace of my guru also. I like to mention my guru for good luck.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Before we start today's masterclass, a quick note to our viewers. Please post your questions in the live chat or comment section. The speaker will address each question at the end of the session. We will now begin the masterclass on Mercury's role in wealth and intelligence. Lalitha ji, over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Om Gam 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 Ganeshaya Namaha. So I don't see my presentation. I'd like to start with that, please. So this is the original title. Somehow it got changed, which is fine because Mercury is indeed associated with intelligence. So I find in my research, also from the teachings of my guru and also the Siddha masters, that Mercury actually has a huge role in wisdom. I confess I was a skeptic, right? Like most people, we think, okay, Mercury is all business, bottom line, where's the wisdom, right? And also we malign planets. We like to do things black and white. We say this planet is like this. Saturn is hurtful. It destroys you. That's not how it works in my view, and also according to the scriptures, and also according to the classics of Vedic astrology. So I like to go a little deeper. And the Siddha masters, I like to start with that. The Siddha masters, the Tamil Siddhas, who I don't know if you're all familiar, but they are very old, undiluted, uninterrupted lineage of yogis. They came from the Himalayas. They went to Tamil Nadu in 50,000 years ago, according to tradition. And they wrote all these manuals for humanity, but most of them are secret. Why? Because they don't want their teachings to become diluted, or even worse, to end up in the hands of unscrupulous people. So let's go and see why we talk about wisdom. First of all, let's talk about the Mercury as a graha, right? Mercury grabs your consciousness. The planets make our consciousness. They totally take over our brains, our minds, and our lives, unless we are very, very conscious and we are more discriminating. And in that, Mercury can help you. So I want to say very quickly, I understand that Jupiter is considered, and I agree, I am a Jupiter person. Jupiter has the highest wisdom. My entire birth chart is based on Jupiter. All the planets depend on Jupiter. So I was kind of biased, I have to say the truth. But even my Mercury depends on Jupiter. Fortunately, it's not debilitated. So I do have a Parivartana yoga, Parivartana yoga between Jupiter and Mercury. So that worked out well for me. I'm an author. I wrote 3 books. I was always, doing public speaking since a young age. Since always, I remember enjoying writing and also doing some public speaking. But this is not about me. I'm just giving you an example of how even the interaction of these 2 planets, they're not always the best friends, right? And for some ascendants, Mercury can be a Badaka planet, for example, for Pisces, right? And also for Gemini, Jupiter is a Badaka. So they don't have always the same relationship, the best relationship, but we do need to be practical, right? So we communicate our ideas, we sell our products, we sell our work. So we need to be practical. And that is where Mercury, I find, has a huge role. So that is the traditional meaning of Mercury and how it can interact with people in a very gracious way. I find that Mercury, when it's well placed, with good aspects, and also it's about the dignity of the planet, right? By sign and associations, actually. So I imagine Mercury being the prince, as the rishis say, in the cabinet of the grahas, the planets, and also is the master of protocol. So imagine you invite 30 people to your house. So you're waiting, and then you're waiting, and the host doesn't show up, and then you start getting nervous. Maybe I have the wrong appointment, the wrong address, and all these things. So Mercury will make sure everybody is feeling comfortable, and is very loquacious, very, very chatty, maybe, but in a very gracious way. So I find that the Mercury becomes cutting and sarcastic only exclusively when Mercury is badly aspected or in bad dignity. So not in a placement where it cannot give its very best. Otherwise, Mercury is very gracious in the interactions. They always use tactful words, or even euphemisms, like something light, or that doesn't hurt, that doesn't single out people for their religion or for their color. Mercury doesn't care if you're square, round, yellow, orange, or purple, right? So it does not single out people. So that for that reason, it not so strongly placed Mercury can be a little ambivalent and maybe befriend bad people, because even though there's discrimination, there's also this great desire to promote products, to sell, to be involved in markets and trading. All right, so let's go ahead and see the next slide, please. So this is the Karaka Buddhi, right? So the intellect. How do we function with the intellect? Mercury has a huge say. For example, children who are born whose Mercury is associated with a not so well placed Saturn. Maybe Saturn is debilitated. In the beginning, they have a hard time speaking. But of course, they'll catch up like everybody else. Maybe they become very eloquent later. But in the beginning, there may be a delay in speaking. I've seen that in birth charts and research. So in the Panchabhuta, Mercury is Earth. What does that tell you? Mercury is very practical, wants to get some results. Also wants to have pleasure, because it's a Rajasic planet, always involved in activity, thinking, doing things. It doesn't sit quiet in meditation, right? That's what I find that the Mercury signs sometimes struggles in becoming meditators, like in the traditional sense that you sit for an hour or two meditating, or even contemplating a concept, if you're a jnani, So Mercury can do that better. Maybe you can contemplate on a concept, but just going deep, they sometimes have a hard time. Don't feel bad if you're one of them, because we have other ways for Mercury to reach higher states. For example, I like the Japanese gardens. It's a walking meditation, right? I don't know if you've ever seen them. I find Mercury people feel comfortable in that. They feel grounded. They can calm down, but they can move their feet, etc. So that's another way we associate Mercury with the Earth plane. And so we have seen already that is a very refined print, right? So remember, a good Mercury will never offend anyone, even when during joke telling is humorous, but not sarcastic, not making fun of other religions. In fact, that's a no-no, right? Here in the US, we're very aware of that. We say that's not politically correct to single out people for religion, for gender, for economics, or any other characteristic. So I like that. I think that's a very wise quality that we need more and more as we become global people, always sharing from different countries, different platforms. We need to become more gracious, more, I wouldn't say diplomatic, because Mercury sometimes is not diplomatic, but that's more like a Venus or Jupiter. But let's be practical. Why hurt other people, right? Also, I believe in one God with millions and millions of devas, angels, archetypes, call them extraterrestrials, whatever you like. So we are all in this together. So Mercury helps with that. To me, that's another sign of wisdom. Also, he has great knowledge, right? So let's go to the next slide so we can understand a little better about this quality. Of course, Mercury has a great role in the financial, in the finances, right? And in fact, according to research, Mercury is the planet most associated with the rich, with really rich people, like billionaires. And you will see that in some case studies. Of course, I've selected also birth charts for wisdom. Sometimes they don't go together. Perhaps in a birth chart is more highlighted for wealth, but the wisdom factor is not as strong, and vice versa. So, and that's okay, because we're all different, even though at the soul level, we're all the same, and we all carry this divine light, right? Let's remember that Vedic astrology is the science of light. So let's not use harsh words and black and white statements about planets. I found out that that's not serving the truth most of the time, and not even Dharma, because the rishis may have used words that have been translated sometimes poorly in our own languages, and they sound a little harsh to my ear sometimes. And then I find out the original word, and I'm not the best at Sanskrit. I do know some Sanskrit from yoga, philosophy, etc., and also from Vedic astrology, but I'm not a scholar. But I find, for example, from studying Hindi for 3+ years, that that word was wrong. The translation was not right. It was not accurate. So Mercury is very good at finding accurate aspects of things. So instead of, how you see sweepy statements about something, Mercury goes and says, actually, if you look deeper, this is the thing. Virgos can do that very well. They're very detail-oriented and very intelligent in finding the essence of something. And maybe they're not as wise as Jupiter people, but I find that they're super intelligent and they're very much in service. All right, so here we have the Buddha Ashtottara Shatnamavali that says, that lists, of course, the 108 names of Mercury. So I like to name some. Giver of brilliance in what? Maybe in speaking or in business, etc. The one who awakens us to the Vedas. So that, right? So we've been saying that even to understand the scriptures, we do need a good Mercury. Of course, a strong Mercury is better, because it all depends on the intelligence of the planets. Then Mercury is the abode of truth. In other words, it's not biased, it's not prejudiced, just goes into the bottom of things. And then it says, Lord of excellent qualities, then the wise one. Wow, wise, right? Even scriptures say that. The one who brings joy to wise men. In other words, when we're wise, we're careful with our speech. How many times have you heard of accounts of spiritual masters saying very, very little, but what they said was perfect, to the point, exactly what a person needed to hear, right? Then the one who cures all diseases, because Mercury is, of course, associated with healing and health and the skin, etc. The self-luminous one. Wow, all the planets receive the light from the sun. The self-luminous one, to me, says a lot, right? So he does have the inner light. He does have intelligence. Intelligence is not just intellectual. There are all different kinds of intelligence. And if you have studied yoga philosophy, you'll know that there are so many levels of our consciousness, and the mind has different layers also. So yes, so it's not just about speaking nice words that impress others. It's a little deeper than that. And yes, I am aware that the scriptures speak in an exalted way, in a very appreciative way. But still, there is a good reason why the rishis, the spiritual masters, speak this way. Okay, so now I want to see another aspect of Mercury, and with the association with this elemental Mercury. That's what the Tamil seed. I cannot reveal everything about this. I've been initiated, so please understand. Maybe you will not find out everything. There's more to this. But I just want to give a little overview. Okay, so the Tamil seed does create images of the divine in solid Mercury. So there are statues that they make. So they're known for using poisons, and then it becomes a healing, a healing compound. Or they make statues. I remember one instance in which they say that the Tamil Siddhas made a statue of Muruga with 9 poisons. So 9 poisons that together became a very hard, very auspicious statue of Muruga that radiates so much divinity. So there's more to the eye. There's more. We need to look a little deeper. Yes. So Mercury is supposed to be connected with the soul. In other words, the soul and Mercury are very similar. I'm talking about elemental Mercury, and that's all I can say for the moment, at this time. Okay, next, please. Next slide, please. So the Tamil Seed does say the planet Mercury has the highest wisdom. I cannot say why, although I'm not qualified, even though I've been studying with the Siddha master for 15 years. I'm not presumptuous to think that I can understand everything that the Tamil Siddhas believe. So, but in other words, they say that Mercury has the highest wisdom. Perhaps it's because Mercury heals or other reasons. I don't want to go into that. But right now, let's just look at Ayurveda, which is commonly known, at least in India, right? In the West, well, I've been studying Ayurveda for many years, but for a few decades. And I still feel that because it's a notion, I don't know much. But what I know is that Mercury was used in ancient Ayurveda, the royal one, the one that was really, really powerful. And I don't know how it was used. And I want to have the disclaimer here that says, I'm not asking you to take Mercury. Please don't do that. Besides, we are not sure if today we are aware of how to purify Mercury properly. The Siddhas will know, the Tamil Siddhas, perhaps in the Himalaya, the Siddhas also know how to do that, but I don't want to. I'm not inviting you to take this, because actually in Europe, in the past centuries, like in the Middle Ages, we have seen cases of people being poisoned, including kings. They wanted to rejuvenate themselves. There was a lot of interest in alchemy, and a lot of mistakes were made, or that's the story. We don't know the whole story. Maybe they were poisoned, I don't know. But in general, we want to be very careful with Mercury. And still, it's interesting, right? The Ayurveda uses Mercury. And recently heard from a guru on YouTube. He's not my guru, but sometimes he says interesting things that I want to hear. He doesn't believe in astrology, so no names. So I believe everybody who has and I think Raman Suprajarama just wrote an article on that. And we shouldn't comment on Vedic astrology unless we have studied it, right? So if we have a scientific mind, I'm not a scientist, but I do try to keep an open mind. I look into things before making sweeping statements. So a blanket statement will never really reveal much. And that is where Mercury has a huge role. Go and look into it, test it, see if it works. Instead of saying, no, astrology doesn't work. Well, we're not really flesh and blood, right? The universe doesn't exist. We had 3 Nobel Prize winners in quantum physics last year who proved beyond any shred of doubt that the universe doesn't exist. It's not theoretical anymore. At least these 3 scientists proved it, right? So we cannot say it's theoretical. Well, I don't think so. And also that's what the yogi said, that the universe doesn't exist. We create it with our consciousness. All right, so that's where also Mercury has another advantage over other planets, that we really create what we say and what we think and what we speak, especially because what we speak has all these vibrations and all these, I'm not speaking like a scientist, please disclaimer. So I'm speaking like a yogi, like a yogini. What you speak has this energy, and wherever you put your energy, that's where your consciousness goes, and also that's what you create yourself. Right? We co-create. I just wrote a book about this, or at least a part of the book. It's called Co-Creating with the Divine. In other words, yes, we are divine beings because that's what God wanted us to be, right? In His image, according to my tradition. I grew up as a Roman Catholic, but also I've looked a lot into the Vedas and some practices of Hinduism also. But I'm not a Hindu, so I don't want to say that because that's not who I am. I am a yogini, and I actually follow the teachings of my guru. Okay, so I think I were spreading a little too far here. Okay, so let's go to the next. So next slide, please. Vishnu Purana. So when we want to judge a planet, it's good to go a little deeper and look into what's out there. Either some classics of Vedic astrology. And I know that Vedic astrology, we're a different kind of people. We like to have our own techniques. We have our own omens. We have our own understanding. But in general, we are very grounded, and we base our judgments or our decisions on either the scriptures or at least the classics of Vedic astrology. So I always like to see a little bit of everything to make sure that my understanding is complete, or at least as close as possible to the meaning of the rishis. So we have the story of Mercury's birth. Why is that important? So if you're not familiar with the story, super quickly, I can tell you that Brihaspati, who is also Jupiter, is the guru of the devas, so the shining beings, the divine beings. His wife Tara had an affair with Soma, right? So with the moon. All the planets are masculine, are male beings in Vedic astrology. And they are conscious, they're sentient, alive. So they're not just rocks. They're really beings, not archetypes. You can use the word archetype if you're not comfortable with the word divine beings, that's fine. And so because of this affair, Brihaspati was super upset. He was very angry. He was very, he condemned the moon, of course, and just asked him to return his wife. I don't know why. She was like an object taken and then she had to be returned. But let's just overlook that for a moment. I know many people may be upset about that, treating a woman like that, but she was conscious and she decided to do this. But what happened was that there was a huge war because the moon said, no, I'm not letting her go. And then, long story short, Brahma had to intervene and the war ended. And when the war ended, it turned out that Tara, after returning to her husband, that she was pregnant. And this baby was Mercury. And when he was born, Jupiter loved this baby. He said, oh my goodness, he's so gorgeous. He's so intelligent. He's already speaking. He's just born. He's brilliant. He's my son for sure. Okay, so he took credit for this. And Tara was silent, but then the truth came out, right? Satyameva Jayate. The truth always triumphs. And then it turned out that actually Mercury was the son of the moon. Okay, so what happened? That now Mercury hates the moon, right? The moon doesn't hurt anybody. In fact, the moon doesn't harm other planets, doesn't have enemies, but some enmity is there with Mercury. So Mercury does not like the moon, but the moon does not hurt Mercury. So that's important to say. In a conjunction, so Mercury maybe would be not giving the best results in conjunction with the moon, but intelligence will be there, and the moon will not damage Mercury's results. Okay, so next. Next, please. Okay, so we have seen already that Mercury is also known as Somya, so the name from Soma, the moon. And the moon, we said, does not harm Mercury because that's his son. Next, please. So the Buddha Panchavishatinama, a stotra of the Padma Purana, highlights 25 names of Mercury. I like to mention a few. Very kind, very knowledgeable, destroyer of bad effects from other planets. So this is a benefic planet, right? Of course, being so open-minded, so flexible, he gets influenced by other planets. So it becomes malefic in the presence of other malefic planets. So always go and see where is Mercury, what he rules, what houses does he rule for that person, and also what aspects are on Mercury. How is the Lord, the planet that rules Mercury in that birth chart? Where is Mercury? Is it in its own sign? Fabulous, exalted in these degrees, particular degrees of I believe 16th degree of Virgo. Fabulous. I would say that Virgo is overall the best placement for Mercury. Of course, Mercury in Gemini gives great results in business, in speech, in relationships. There's a lot of relationships in Gemini, but we'll look into that later. So right now, destroyer of bad effects from other planets, giver of money. Yes, so for business, you definitely need a good Jupiter. Giver of a beautiful wife. son and wealth of animals. Oops, sorry. I misread that. Giver of a beautiful wife and a son, and wealth of animals. So elephants, horses, right? Anciently, that was the wealth, some of the wealth. Destroyer of harmful actions against us. Wow, I never expected this, right? If you just study Vedic astrology but don't look deeper, we don't realize that actually Mercury destroys harmful behavior from the people. Wow, amazing. And then let's look into the Linga Purana briefly, just because you may have heard maybe that Mercury is the son of the moon, and also Rohini Nakshatra. Rohini, the favorite nakshatra of the moon, right? The moon got in trouble because of that. So there is a story that the moon wanted to be only in Rohini, and all the other nakshatras got upset, all the other constellations, the fixed stars, right? And then the moon received this curse that became waning and waxing. It's beautiful to know these stories because we understand a lot about our galaxy and why certain planets have a certain effect on our consciousness. And the moon is the mind principle, as we know. Okay, so Mercury in that case would be the beginner of the moon dynasty. So the Buddha Kavacham says, by Rishi Kasyapa, says, let us be protected by Buddha, he who holds a book in his hand, who glows with kumkum, right, the red powder that we put on the forehead is an auspicious sign, who wears yellow silk. So we usually associate Mercury with green. It's interesting he's wearing yellow silk. That's the color of Jupiter. So he's auspicious, kind of like Jupiter in a way. Maybe this is my interpretation. And who wears a yellow garland, again, yellow. And also he blesses one with long, healthy life, increases sons and grandsons, so brings fertility. Wow, interesting. And those who read and hear it would be victorious everywhere. Next slide, please. So how beautiful is Mercury? The body is well proportioned, right? Gracious manners. There's beautiful features, beautiful everything. So we like to see Mercury in the first house. That's where we say that Mercury acquires Digbala. Digbala means the best direction for Mercury in the first house. What is the first house? The nature of first house means the self, the body, your path in life, your taste, your likes and dislikes, or your interests, all those things and more. So Mercury rides an eagle. This points to Vishnu, the overlord of Mercury. If I haven't said it, there's a close association between Mercury and Vishnu. Perhaps that's why wealth is a big deal. You know, when we talk about Mercury, we can immediately expect gains, trading. We'll see that in a little bit. And sometimes he rides a lion, right? So that's also possible to see Mercury riding a lion. So there's strength, courage, I guess. He charms with his beautiful, well-proportioned body, is neutral. So we say that Mercury can take a male body or a female body. He's not discriminating. He doesn't care. It's just whatever works in that moment for the moment. That's can be too much, but that's how Mercury is, very ambivalent in a way, but also very flexible. So we have seen first house is the best for Mercury. And gives a discriminating nature. So astute assessment of situations, what needs to be said, and also of a business deal. So if we don't look deeply, We may make bad investments without a good Mercury. We may decide to use our money improperly, etc. So details take center stage. Yes. So what I mean is Mercury looks at every aspect of a thing. It turns it upside down, just completely looks into it. And also we can expect a successful merchant, an excellent mathematician, a skillful scientist, a gifted astrologer. So for Vedic astrology, I like to see in a birth chart, if somebody wants to study, I always analyze Jupiter and Mercury. They are both very important for that. Sometimes Rahu, because of Aquarius, but yes, so we'll see that later. But typically it's Jupiter and Mercury. But Rahu can be tricky. We'll see that later. Also, a great writer. Usually you see the people who have a strong Mercury can be very gracious, not convincing, because there may be Mercury that is not very well placed, is more interested in games, in a little cunning, maybe calculating, But in general, just knowing how to express an idea is very important to Mercury and to most of us, I guess, because we need communication until we become fully telepathic, which may be the next development, I don't know. And he has a very refined personality, we have seen. Next, please. How are we with time? We have another 10 minutes. Okay. All right, so let's see a little bit in mundane astrology. So for the world, Mercury is what? IT, internet, computer industry, telecommunications, transportation, changes. Every time there's new infrastructure, new markets, Mercury is involved. There's printing and publishing, research, software, financial businesses. So Mercury is involved in a lot of our lives, especially in modern times where we communicate our ideas a lot. We have all these media and computers, telescopes, everything. So the markets in general, Mercury is involved in this. And he's an advisor to the CEOs. The CEOs have advisors before they make investments. I find for coaches, it's more Jupiter, but also Mercury is involved, especially if the life coach is trying to teach a person how to build a profitable business. They may be both proficient in Jupiter things and Mercury things. Okay, then we have also advisors to royalty, politicians, heads of state. Then we have strategists, as we said already, authors and writers, researchers. For research, you need to look at details. Communicators, analysts, intellectuals, software engineers, that's huge. So everybody is using software today, and Mercury is involved with that. Okay, next slide. So Mercury, like all planets, has some friendly planets and not so friendly planets. And we have already seen he's a benefic. What's a benefic? Does not hurt other planets, or the significations of a house does not bring harm unless there is some problem with another planet, right? So we'll see that Mitra Graha is Venus. So the best friends. They're both Rajasic. They get along great. So Mercury in Taurus and Libra does well. Venus does not do so well in Virgo because it becomes debilitated. Okay, but even there, sometimes there are other things to be said. But Mercury considers the sun a friend. Saturn considers Mercury a friend, but Mercury does not. It stays neutral. Mercury considers Mars neutral, but Mars can't stand Mercury. Why? Because Mars wants to break everything. So sees Mercury and all these games, word games. I just want to do war. So they don't get along very well. But Mercury does not harm Mars. So let's go a little faster because I'm concerned about the case studies and questions also. I like to give a chance for questions. So again, Mercury only sees the moon as an enemy. And Mercury and Sun get along together. They create this calm but very powerful. So let's not underestimate Buddha Ditya Yoga. Okay, so that's okay. Next, please. Next slide, please. Vishnu Rupi, briefly, this is the year of Mercury, is king this year. Also, it looks like Vishnu Rupi, right? It's gracious, beautiful, like Vishnu brings lots of money, like Vishnu. Some of the classics say that Mercury can befriend thieves. Okay, that's a strong statement. Usually a good Mercury does not do that. Okay, there is more discrimination. But yeah, there is a little ambivalence sometimes between right and wrong. I don't support that. So please look deeper for associations and also aspects. Aspects are important. Aspects on Jupiter will bring more Dharma or less Dharma. Okay, next, please. Okay, Gemini, we've already seen, is very loquacious, speaks very well, advertises everything, PR. PR is also big. I used to work in PR. So Mercury is involved in speaking, writing, expressing, explaining why you should be looking into this and not into that, etc. So Gemini is a little into relationships, a little too much. Sometimes it gets multiple relationships. So there's a lot of waste of energy, and that can bring breakdown, nervous breakdown, or confusion and not so good situations, right? So we need to be conscious of our energy. And Gemini is masculine, an air sign, very fast, a little restless. Yeah, but I love Geminis. They're very friendly, very fun to be with. Okay, research, analysis, etc. So I think we can skip the signs. Maybe I've already talked about Virgo a little bit. So let's skip Gemini and Virgo so we can go to the case studies and see the results of Mercury, because it's probably more interesting to our friends and our audience. So we're going to go to past Virgo. We need to change the slide, please. All right, so let's just skip this. We've seen that Virgo is very discriminating in service to others, excellent accountants, excellent in everything they do, very perfectionists, teachers, artisans, editors and publishers, designers and architects, especially in Chitra. When the moon is in Chitra, when Mercury is in Chitra, also can do that. Next, please. Architects, because Chitra is ruled by the architect of the gods. Next, please. Yes. So Mercury is the strongest, the king planet this year in 2023. So that helps financial markets. So it helps us in finances. We need that, right? At the same time, Mercury can cause more wildfire, and we have seen a lot of that in It was unprecedented, actually, in August 2023. We have seen Hawaii, Canary Islands, Canada and Greece burning like never before. Mercury entered into Leo. Of course, there's global warming. Everyone knows that. And okay. So Mercury has been in Leo for a long time, also during the retrograde, staying in Leo. So also that time Mars was in Leo. Now Mars has moved to Virgo. Please remember I'm talking about the sidereal zodiac. Sometimes there's confusion because people who use both Western astrology, mostly Western astrology, they come and tell me, no, that's not it. This planet, I look at the planets as they are actually in the sky, because that's the Vedic zodiac. We call it sidereal, based on the fixed stars that don't move significantly for thousands of years. So it's very reliable, very accurate. Okay, so now Mars has moved and it's in Virgo. Okay, what have we seen? Due to the retrograde, Mercury will remain in Leo until October 1st. So speak gently, because Leo can be a little bit bossy, right? It's a very intelligent sign, very much into leadership. So Mercury takes those qualities, especially now with the Sun in Leo. So it's a very strong combination. Use it for success and be gentle in relationships. Next, please. I think we can skip this. Yes, so we were seeing Mercury is refined, humorous, and maybe a few words about this, because today jokes have become very sarcastic. Sometimes I feel offended. Okay, I'm sorry. When jokes make fun or ridicule groups, religions, ethnicities, I cannot accept that. It's unacceptable today because we have this global communications going. We cannot do that anymore. So we have to be very gracious. So I find that a good Mercury does not get people in trouble with such statements and bad jokes. So Mercury is not sarcastic. That's not humor. But unfortunately, modern humor has become very sarcastic, very cutting words, very heavy words, very harsh. So that's not Mercury. Please know if you see that, the good Mercury is not there. Okay. So let's see. Varamihira says, so one quick way to interpret. Yes. So the Brihat Jataka gives a very quick way to evaluate the results, the possible results of Mercury, right? It says that in the first 8 houses, Mercury gives learning, wealth, baseness. Baseness, in case Mercury is not well placed, then there's associations with the wrong people, and maybe ambivalence and skipping morals to get the gains. That is not a good Mercury, but it can happen with bad associations because, again, Mercury is neutral. Then there's wisdom. Oh, look, even Varamihira thought that Mercury had wisdom. Ministers, enemy-free life. So the graciousness avoids enemies, right? Philosophers, good character. In the other houses, Mercury acts like the sun. So Mercury in the 10th house, awesome. Mercury in the 12th house, not so awesome. Okay, next, please. I can't see my slide. Okay, yes. All right, so these are all fun facts about how good the Surya Siddhanta was in identifying the correct sidereal revolution of Mercury around the sun. It was so accurate that the difference is a minute at the most. So the author of the Surya Siddhanta, Aryabhata, was amazing, right? He got it right. So let's, next slide, please. I'm a little concerned about the case studies. So let me start by saying how Mercury acts throughout the houses. Initially, we can go to the next, please. In the first house, Mercury gives discrimination and confidence and good speech, beautiful body, etc. Then in the second house, Mercury can help in with finances. It may give a beautiful voice, beautiful speech. Then we have and good relationships with family, also wealth, because it's a financial, the house of finances. Then the third house, Mercury will give you good relationships with siblings, incredible creativity, and dexterity in creating beautiful artworks, maybe lots of creativity, wonderful writing, etc. In the fourth house, Mercury, I'm talking about a well-placed Mercury, right? So if it's a bad sign for Mercury and there's a bad aspect from a malefic planet, it's a totally different result. In fact, it can be opposite. So a well-placed Mercury can give from the fourth house beautiful homes, assets, and happiness, because that's a house for happiness, even though it's a moksha house. Fifth house, perfect. Mercury in the fifth house gives great results for intelligence, good education, purva punya from past lives. So that means merit from past lives. Good luck for that. Perhaps good investments, but it depends on the dignity of Mercury. Then we have the sixth house. Mercury, a well-placed Mercury will not cause health problems. In fact, it can help heal. It can help heal others. It can be of service, great skills for accounting and secretarial work, all kinds of good things. Seventh house, not so great, because it can bring a beautiful wife for men. That's what the classics always say, is beautiful wife. They don't care about beautiful husband. But in fact, it can bring a good-looking spouse. It can bring a wealthy spouse. If Mercury is not well placed, then there's no relationship. The bond will not be there. The emotional bond, which is a thing of the moon, will not be there. So it can affect intimacy. All right, so intimacy will be affected, but only in that case, and only if Mercury is not well placed. But in dignity, Mercury does not cause problems in relationships, not so much. There may be a little bit of what we call gaslighting of other people's feelings, which makes a wife upset. Maybe Mercury says, you shouldn't feel that way. Well, tough, I do, right? What can I do? So there is a problem with emotions in the seventh house, but that's it. Okay. Then next house. Sorry, he was also a great orator. Okay. Oh, let's look at the first case studies. Thank you. Let's go back, please. Paramahansa Yogananda. So we're looking at a chart for wisdom, right? Paramahansa Yogananda. Can you backspace, please? Thank you. Paramahansa Yogananda, the epitome of wisdom, right? So wise since a young age, beautiful person, a beautiful being, a divine being. So Mercury is in the fifth house, well placed with the sun. That's a strong trinal house for Leo ascendant. So this ascendant is not confirmed, but I believe that's correct. The moon is in the first house, very feeling, very authoritative, gentle, but with dignity, self-confidence, self-respect, right? Because we need to respect ourselves. We are the divine. We have the divine light. So never do the self-bashing. I don't believe in that. When we're young, we tend to do that, but it's not helpful to the soul and for our growth to disrespect ourselves. So let's be respectful. That's what Yogananda, he always spoke with so much authority, but love and also sensitivity. A good Mercury makes the person capable of saying things graciously. He never offended anybody, even though he said things very strongly sometimes, because Sagittarius can be quite righteous and principled, right? Can be too much sometimes, but there's a need for that, right? If we want dharma, we cannot be ambivalent too much. So that's the case. So I don't think I want to say anything more about this chart. Let's just go to the next chart, please. Elon Musk, the richest man. Okay, so we don't have his exact time of birth. We're going to use the moon, Chandra Lagna, we call it. So where's Mercury? Gemini, wow. I like to say that Mercury in Gemini can sell sand to people living in the Sahara desert. They know how to say things so nicely. You have to have this gadget, you have to have this computer, you have to have this program. They're amazing. They're very good at selling, trading, technology. That's intelligence for technology, right? What did I say here? So it's placed with the sun in the first house. No. Oh, the first lord in the 11th house. Yes, that brings a lot of gains. So Mercury in the 11th house is one of the best placements for material gains. Also for good associations with people, friends or networks that will be very helpful for you to grow your business and also to just to make it more fun, because it shouldn't be just all work and just 100% gains. Well, I guess he has managed to do that. And according to Dr. B.V. Raman, I like to mention him because we're honoring him on this very special occasion for his 111th birthday. And in how to judge a horoscope. He says that Mercury in the 11th house makes one learned in many sciences, has a sharp intellect, is wealthy, has many servants, and prospers in engineering. Wow. It was like he was reading this horoscope, right, of Elon Musk. That's absolutely perfect. Then Brigu also, Sri Brigu, said that Mercury in the 11th house for Leo gets huge gains and receives appreciation for his cleverness. Okay. Then, of course, we have the Buddha Ditya Yoga, which is good. Next, please. Warren Buffett is another very wealthy man. Where's Mercury? In Virgo. So this is a very serious chart. Somebody who knows how to make money. There's Mars and Jupiter in Gemini, great in trading. Mercury is with Venus. Venus is debilitated, but there's Nichabanga. So because Venus is with an exalted planet, and that's also the Lord of the house. Okay. So he's famous for saying he wants to donate 85% of his wealth, but he has the wealth to do so. He was the fourth richest man in the world, at least of those who declare their wealth. There may be hidden wealth. And very intelligent, very good in business, obviously. Let's see what Dr. B.V. Raman said about this in the same How to Judge a Horoscope. In sights of Mercury in the 10th house, he will be happy, straightforward, successful in all endeavors, and engaged in acquiring knowledge and fame. He will be excellent at math, and if Venus joins, he will have a charming wife and wealth. Okay, Venus is debilitated, but he had a divorce, but I believe the reason is that Saturn is aspecting Venus and Mercury, and Saturn is also retrograde. So that can cause problems in relationships. But okay, let's be respectful. Let's move on. But obviously, this is a chart of great wealth. The sun is in Leo, strong in its own sign. The moon is Anuradha. So Anuradha, there is a lot of research that shows the moon in Anuradha also brings lots of wealth. Next, please. What can we say about Sri Yukteswar was Yogananda Paramahansa. He was amazing. The moon is in Aquarius with Jupiter. Okay, Mercury is with a bunch of planets. Obviously, was into moksha, right? When we see a lot of planets in one house, that means the person is interested in liberation, in not returning to the earth plane. If they return, then usually they help. But okay, this is a sweeping statement, so I'm going to retrace my steps. Sometimes that's the case. Excuse me, I have to mute myself. Can you please go back for a minute to Yukteswar's chart? Can we go back to the previous birth chart, please, for a second? Oh, we're out of time, actually. Okay, we can stay on this. Dr. Eben Alexander was an MD. Okay, yes. So I wanted to read what Dr. B.V. Raman said about this. Oh, his ascendant was in Shatabisha. So I believe the nakshatra of the moon is Shatabisha because he was a great astrologer who invented a method to identify the exact time of conception, which is extraordinary. Okay, next, please. He was a great astrologer, Sri Yukteswar. Next, please. Well, I find that Mercury in Scorpio can give interest in metaphysics. Of course, the sun is there, Venus also. So this was a very rational doctor, a neurosurgeon, Harvard neurosurgeon, and he was a skeptic. He did not care so much about God. He had what they call an NDE, a near-death experience. He went into a coma due to some bacterial infection of his brain. So his brain was shut down completely. The neocortex was shut down. And he had the best experience. He said, I was so conscious. I was more alive than ever. And I had an experience of God. And it was magnificent. And he said, God was Om. And he had no idea about Hinduism. He had no background of the Vedas. Then he felt this amazing connection with the divine, and he called the divine Om. Imagine, it was very interesting. So that's because Mercury in Scorpio takes the characteristics of Scorpio, right? We have seen that Mercury is very flexible and absorbs the characteristics of the sign of the placement. So the sign and the Lord of that sign. So Venus and Mars are exchanging signs, so that makes it stronger. So there is a lot of Scorpio in this combination of these three planets. Okay, so let's go to the next, please. Bill Gates, so we know he's rich, right? Very rich. He's very wealthy. And let's see where Mercury is exalted with Mars. So is he an engineer? What do you think he is? He has also aggravated a lot of people. I found this on the internet, so no personal feelings towards, no, nothing personal here. But I see that he's, of course, very wealthy, very intelligent, broken education. He left college, like many other billionaires. He did a he felt that he didn't need that kind of path. Okay, so, and that's sometimes how they were able to make a lot of money, because they didn't go according to the curriculum of their school, university, like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. So these are famous names of people who do that, because Mars here can in the fourth house can bring interrupted education. But still a super intelligent man, and did a lot of good in the world too. Sometimes maybe we can be skeptics about what he's doing, but that's in his karma. Okay, so Mars and Mercury UT shows drive, intelligence in mechanical skills, also for business. So is it a lot of lawsuits, as we see from Rahu in the sixth house? So Rahu can bring that, protects you also from enemies, but he was hit by a lawsuit for infringement of copyright from Apple, then antitrust from the US government. That was a biggie. Okay, so next, please. Okay, Mercury's mantra. The common one is Buddha, Om Buddhaya Namaha. Remedies are important for planets. If you want to improve a planet, you need to follow the remedies. And the rishis didn't condemn anyone. So today we like to say this planet destroys the person. Well, let's watch our words, right? Mercury teaches that. That's not true. No planet can destroy you, provided that you're conscious, that you do remedies, that you are in service to humanity, to the divine. So no planets can destroy you. Just do the remedies, because it gives you a new consciousness, right? The mantra, the vibrations will change. Your consciousness will change. Those sounds are very powerful. They will even change the brain. That's what the yogis believe, that these sounds are very powerful. And we can offer tulsi leaves to a statue of Vishnu. So I know modern astrologers love to be skeptic, and they only believe in their eyes, and we don't want to be that kind of scientists. So let's keep an open mind. There is a reason these remedies work. So I am totally for remedies. And also the rishis gave us remedies because they said, okay, this is what's happening now in your life, and these things can happen, but you can prevent them, provided that you do these things, that you change your ways, that you also, my guru says that 51% it's the planets, right? But guess who has 49% of decision? You do. So never panic if you have a birth chart reading, a Vedic astrology consultation, and somebody tells you that terrible things are going to happen, perhaps, right? We have seen in the autobiography of a yogi, somebody was supposed to die, but his guru scratched his back with a stick with fire on it. So he was supposed to die in a fire on that day. That's how accurate the reading was. But his guru saved him by just scratching him in his back and burning a little bit of his skin. So that's a huge example of how it can work. So according to tradition, disclaimer, these kind of remedies can heal the skin, can heal the skin. Sorry, I'm going a little fast now because we're out of time. Cure speech impediments. Oh, we have 1.5 hours. Okay. Cure speech impediments, bring abundant wealth, receive help, can help you receive help, can bring you help to build a business, can increase sales and revenue. It can help you acquire gracious speech patterns, which are important. So I think I am all for us using a better language, because it's become very harsh, at least in American English. Often I'm shocked by some words, how people use them. They're all opposite of the meaning. Young people, I also write this in my books. Young people are using very weak language, to say the least. Also, language that does not bring prosperity. So like if you say something is sick, to say that it is cool and good, it's a simple example. What life are you going to build? What kind of thought are you going to have? What kind of vibrations, what frequencies are you tuning into, right? So let's be careful with language. Okay, so speech patterns are important. Next, please. Emerald. I am a little bit disturbed when I see a lot of Vedic astrologers, very intelligent people, very learned, very, very knowledgeable. They say that's useless. How do we know? The rishis are not fools. They had a point. So I believe everything vibrates according to the theory, the string theory. Everything vibrates. So the rishi said that the emeralds and the color of the emerald even represent the vibrations of Mercury. So they're similar. So you're honoring Mercury when you wear an emerald. Okay, disclosure, I do. I have an emerald. And also it has to be pure. So I believe in Vedic gems. I don't sell them, so please don't think this is self-serving. It's just like what I know can work and help people. I'm the first to say, yes, this is a good idea. Also, my guru has supported that it's a good idea to wear a pure emerald. If your Mercury is weak, and you need to work with Mercury, again, to sell or to speak or to write, etc. We all write something, we all speak something, so it can be helpful. I believe there are huge disclaimers in my presentation. Please understand, I'm not inviting you to invest a lot of money in a gem. I'm just saying how it works. So then it's up to you how you want to take this. And it will give you better skills also for your profession. You can use a neem mala. Those are very inexpensive, and they represent Vishnu. Green jade also has the qualities of Mercury. The electrical rays of a pure Vedic gem. These are words from Paramahansa Yogananda. The electrical rays of a pure Vedic gem are supposed to block negative planetary radiations. We are influenced by the radiations of the planets. So we have seen how big they are, right? Everything influences us, including electricity, 5G, everything is having an effect on us. Food, the weather. So how can we say the planets don't do that too? They absolutely do. In fact, they are the ones who are making our consciousness. So skeptics, please look into it. Maybe you can still dismiss it after, but at least look into it. Okay. As per position of Mercury and the houses, it rules. I think I've already talked about the houses, right? Will be magnified according to the houses. Yes, of course. All right, so Mercury in the 10th house, awesome for career, in public speaking, in PR, broadcasts, podcasts, etc. Okay, and brings good fortune. Okay, next. Please. Something I love, my guru says sometimes it works better than meditation to do what they call abhishekam. Abhishekam is pouring some liquids to hydrate a statue. The statue comes alive. So we have become a little confused about that in modern times. We talk about idolatry, especially in the West. Still, if we go to a church, we see lots of images. Don't we also honor the president of our country, for example, or prime minister with their photo? Because these are not only symbols, but they carry energy. So the image of the divine, especially 3D, like a statue, carries a lot of energy. I have a little statue of Mercury here, if you like to see that. Like, I don't know if you can see it. So I believe in statues. They're a reminder, at the very least. They remind you of the being. It reminds you to say your mantra. It reminds you to stay conscious in your speech, in your writing, in your work. So there are reminders. But when you pour, can we go back a second, please? You pour water, then you pour some milk. These are the traditional offerings. Also, we need to remember what Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita. He talked about parasparam. Parasparam means having a relationship with the divine. So in this case, it's a planet. The parasparam is with the planet. Can we go back, please, to the Abhishekam? So you pour some water, and this is something you can do at home anytime. If you don't have a statue, maybe you can buy one, or you can imagine it in a meditation. Pour some water on a statue. Can we please backspace to the... okay. So water, milk, orange juice, these are, and then always rinse it with water. The statue comes alive. I don't know why I can't get that slide again. Okay. Maybe there's something with the internet. Can you please go back to the slide we were talking about? I think we lost Girish. Girish Ji. We lost a slide. We have to go back a bit. Please go to Abhisheka slide. Yes, please go to the Abhishekam. Okay, that's okay. We can improvise with this. Something is happening with the connection, perhaps. Oh, thank you so much. Okay. So something I'd like you to learn, it's super simple, but it does change your consciousness. You become like you're honoring the planet, and also that you're receiving the blessings of the planet. So I like to do that sometimes. As a Vedic astrologer, I feel it's my job to have a good connection with the planets. So I pour some water, right? I don't have a glass, but imagine this is a clean glass of water. You pour the water, then you pour some milk, you can pour some orange juice. Then always rinse with water and pat it dry very gently with some soft clean cloth. And then you can offer a candle if you have nothing else, a candle, and maybe an incense if you want to go. Traditionally, you can offer a ghee lamp and incense. You will change. Your consciousness will change. Sometimes I've had the experience that I was too tired, I couldn't do this. But after the ritual, I felt amazing. I felt I was receiving the blessings. So sometimes we have to try to believe it. And this is not for anybody, for everybody. I do believe that, of course, that we are modern people and we're busy. But these are traditional remedies. I just want you to know that you can do that. Offer tulsi leaves to a statue of Vishnu in a cup of water, maybe some fruit or a little sweet, and then recite the mantras for Mercury. If you cannot pray to Mercury, pray to Vishnu. Look on the internet for a mantra if you don't have a teacher, a guru. That's also fine. And even just listening to the Vishnu Sahasrarama is very powerful. So I guess we can go to the last slide where it says a Padma Purana. Yes, so donations are very important because we become more humble. We want to help other people. We ideally will do it because we care. All right. If you don't have the feeling, that's okay. Just do it as a remedy or pray to Vishnu. There's a way that's traditional for the Siddhas. You promise if you get that amount of money, say for example you want $10,000 and you ask Vishnu, why not? It's a prayer, right? You can pray to the divine in so many ways. We shouldn't be judgmental, because some people say, oh, that's not God, I only pray to Jesus. So do I. I pray to Jesus. I do also pray to Vishnu. Why not? So you say, I want $10,000. I promise I will give you $300 of that, or $1,000. I will offer. I'll give in donation, or to the temple of Vishnu. Okay, that's a traditional remedy also. Next, please. Oh, you can also offer green moon dal and green clothes. So you're just honoring Mercury. Remember, every time you honor someone, you get the best out of that person. What happens if we disrespect someone? Are they going to be inclined to respect us or like us or even help us if we need help? So Mercury teaches you, actually that was Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, give and you receive, right? Okay, next, please. I believe in getting the blessings from my guru, from the divine, from the planets. So that's something you may want to look into. And be charitable. That always fixes every planet. So this is the last slide, little quote from the Padma Purana that I liked, because we have seen that to fix Mercury, we can simply pray to, excuse me, we can pray to Lord Vishnu. So there was a Brahmin who was poor, and he and his wife could not have children, but they did want children. They wanted a son. Sage Vashishta advised them and said, you have to pray to Vishnu. Go to this place. And he told them to go to the river, to the banks of the river Reva. I think today it's called Narbada. Crosses Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. And then pray to Vishnu with one pointed focus, and just don't get distracted. In fact, there were demons, there was bad weather, all kinds of winds, and they were not distracted. They kept praying. So Soma Sharma was praying with much intensity and love and devotion to Vishnu. And Vishnu was very pleased. He appeared. And he was wearing yellow clothing. Oh, this yellow keeps coming back, right? The blessings, the abundance. So that's Jupiter too, right? What is the yellow? Generosity, wealth, expansion of something beautiful that we want. Okay, so Vishnu, dressed in yellow clothing, said, I am pleased with your prayers. And also asked them, what do you like? What would you like? Because he was ready to give them boons. So he granted them wealth. And also the wife then carried a son and was born, and his name was Suvrata. So that's a simple way to see how auspicious life can become when we are devotional, when we pray. My guru, who is a phenomenologist of religion, Dr. Pillai, and he's also a Tamil Siddha, says that the curse of the 21st century is a life without God. So these are the last words of my presentation, not to preach, not to tell you you're doing it wrong, but just I believe that's true. I find a life without hope, without faith, without devotion is not a good life. At least it cannot give you much. And also to evolve, we need to look higher. All right, thank you so much for the slides, Girish. And so my presentation is completed now. If you have any questions, Dr. Archana. Sorry, I was muted. So one first question first, right? So Mercury and Rahu, they get along very well. If Mercury is in Virgo with Rahu, no problem. They give great results. Rahu is being a, I like Rahu actually. In DNA astrology, we say that the purpose of life can be seen from Rahu. That obsession of Rahu points to some things we want to experience. We need to do it right, though, right? We need to remember Dharma. We need to remember, we need to be honorable. We need to be honest. So that's the only reason Rahu sometimes can cause problems when we choose the wrong way. But the desire itself is not wrong. So I know Buddhist people say that we should have no desires, but even the Buddha wanted enlightenment. That's a desire. So that's what my guru says. And it's true. It's true. I believe it's true. So Rahu brings desire, and it depends on how you try to fulfill those desires. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong, right? Mercury speaks. And Rahu sometimes rushes through because he wants to get things done and get a result. So if somebody is conscious and careful and does remedies, I don't see a problem. Okay. Yes. So Mercury ruling the 12th house sometimes can be a little difficult but it's also the third house. That's a house of pleasure, Kama house. Third house is for enjoyment, right? Siblings, a good relationship with your sister, with your brother. You can enjoy time together, but also communication, efforts, being courageous so you can reach the results you want. So I don't see a problem with that. Just be conscious, meditate. Sometimes the 12th house significations always improve when we meditate. Also, Rahu will behave better when you are a meditator and you're conscious of what you're doing, what you're saying, and how also how you're feeling, because there is a lot of frustration due to Rahu. Rahu wants to run, right? Even though Rahu acts like Saturn, Rahu wants super speed, a femtosecond, right? Super fast. So just be conscious and meditate before making decisions. So avoid doing things impulsively. Okay, then you will not have a problem. Also, combustion of Mercury. I honestly don't see the problem. Okay, I know geniuses who have combust Mercury. Mercury is always close to the sun, so it's bound to happen to a lot of people. It doesn't destroy Mercury. Don't worry about that. Although, yes, in Libra, the sun is debilitated. Is that what you said? It's in Libra with the sun. Still Aditya Buddha Yoga. Just don't listen too much to other people's opinion, because I find that the sun in Libra wants to please others. So the sun needs self-confidence, authority, and in Libra, it just lets go of all that just to make everybody happy. So just be cautious with that habit. I hope that this answer helps. Next, please. I don't see questions. Hi, Archana. Dr. Archana.
Thank you, Ms. Lalitha. I enjoyed your class. It was very insightful.
Thank you.
Especially the various details about Mercury's characteristics and its role in our life, with various positions in the horoscope. And I strongly do agree with you with that. The language plays a huge role, and not only in communication, but it also, governs our thoughts and attitudes, right?
Oh, yes.
I mean, I believe in it. As simple as starting to recite Sanskrit shlokas, it has a considerable impact on our mind and provides clarity. So
Thank you.
I'm sure.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Right. I'm sure our audience is happy with the knowledge shared by you. That was an
Hopefully it
excellent,
helps. Yeah, hopefully it helps to improve things,
yeah,
finances, relationships, because that's what's important.
that's true. That's true. And thank you again for the excellent masterclass.
My pleasure.
Um, Before we end this session, I would like to inform the audience that the next masterclass is tomorrow. That is Sunday, the 10th of September at 6 p.m. The class will be held by Professor Dr. N.S. Murthy, who is also my guru and father. He will be teaching us about how to analyze a horoscope using the crucial 28 plus parameters. So, see you
Wow,
again there.
definitely. Very interesting. Okay. I didn't know he's your father. That's wonderful.
Also, if you'd like to stay informed, our viewers, please, about the master classes and similar sessions by the foundation, please visit the website that was displayed in this session or join the Telegram channel. Dhanyawadaha.
धन्यवाद धन्यवाद